A police officer walks up to your window and says, "We've found something in your car." Your heart starts racing. Maybe they're bluffing. Maybe they actually found something. Maybe it belongs to someone else. Maybe you have no idea what they're talking about. Then comes the real danger. You open your mouth, and in the next 10 seconds, people talk themselves into criminal charges every single day. "Those aren't mine. My friend left that there. I didn't know it was illegal. I was just holding it." What do you do when an officer says they found something in your car? What should you say? What should you never say? And can police legally use your own words against you? That's what we're breaking down today. One piece of knowledge can change how a situation ends for you. Subscribe now so you're prepared. Then share this video and tell me what you think about it in the comments. Because this moment is one of the biggest legal traps during the traffic stop. One wrong sentence can hand investigators exactly what they need, not because they proved anything yet, but because you helped build the case for them. And most people do it without realizing it. In this video, you'll learn what officers are often trying to get from you when they say, "We found something in your car." The exact phrases legal experts recommend using, what mistakes escalate situations fast, and how to protect your rights without acting aggressive or combative. Here's the first thing you need to understand. When an officer says, "We found something in your car," that statement is often designed to trigger a reaction, not necessarily a confession, a reaction. Police are trained to observe body language, nervous speech, inconsistent answers, and spontaneous statements. And legally, many statements you make voluntarily can absolutely be used against you later. That's why the first mistake people make is trying to explain too much. Officer says, "Whose bag is this?" And the driver immediately says, "It's not mine. My cousin borrowed the car yesterday." Sounds innocent, right? But now you just admitted knowledge of the bag. You placed another person in the car. You started a timeline. And investigators may now compare your statement against surveillance, phone data, passenger statements, or future interviews. Instead, your goal is not to win an argument on the roadside. Your goal is to avoid self-incrimination. That brings us to the safest first response. "Officer, I choose to remain silent." Short, calm, clear. This matters because the right to remain silent is strongest when you actually invoke it clearly. Nervous rambling hurts people every day because silence alone is not always enough to stop questioning. And notice the wording. Not, "I ain't saying nothing." Not, "You can't question me." Not, "This is harassment." Just, "Officer, I choose to remain silent." That shows restraint instead of escalation. Now, let's talk about another massive mistake. Trying to talk your way out of the situation. People panic when they hear police found something, so they start guessing. Maybe somebody planted it. I forgot that was there. I didn't think that counted. I only used it once. That's dangerous because partial explanations often become admissions, and officers know silence is hard for nervous people. Many encounters become long conversations because the driver feels uncomfortable with quiet. Here's a realistic example. Officer: "We located a substance in the center console." Driver: "Okay, but that's not mine. My friend had the car earlier." Officer: "So you knew it was there?" Driver: "Well, no, I mean, I saw it, but..." Now the entire situation just changed. Instead, if questioning continues, use this phrase: "I would like to speak to a lawyer before answering questions." This is one of the strongest legal protections you have. Once you clearly request an attorney, questioning rules become much more restrictive in many situations. And again, wording matters. Don't argue law on the roadside. Don't threaten lawsuits. Don't debate constitutional theory. Just calmly say, "I would like to speak to a lawyer." Simple works better. Now, here's another massive mistake people fall into: consent. Sometimes officers say, "If you've got nothing to hide, you don't mind if we search, right?" Or, "Mind opening the trunk for me?" Or, after something is found, "Can you explain what else is in the vehicle?" Many people think cooperating fully will make the situation disappear. Sometimes it does not. And consent can remove legal protections you may have had later. So if police ask for permission to search, one of the safest responses is, "Officer, I do not consent to any searches." This phrase matters for two reasons. First, it makes your position clear. Second, it preserves the issue legally if the search later becomes important in court. Now, listen carefully. Saying you do not consent does not mean officers will stop searching. Police may still search if they believe they have legal authority under probable cause, arrest procedures, vehicle exceptions, inventory rules, or other circumstances. But there's a huge difference between a search happening over your objection and a search happening because you gave permission. That distinction matters. And while saying this, stay physically calm. Do not grab objects, do not block officers, do not pull away. Which brings us to another critical point. Never physically resist during a roadside encounter. Even if you believe the search is illegal, people destroy their legal defense the second they turn a verbal encounter into a physical confrontation. If officers continue searching after you refuse consent, say this: "I am not resisting, but I do not consent to this search." That sentence protects you in two ways. "I am not resisting" reduces the chance officers interpret your behavior as physical interference, and "but I do not consent" preserves your objection. You are separating compliance from permission. That distinction is extremely important. Now, let's talk about tone. Because your words matter, but your delivery matters too. A calm voice can prevent situations from spiraling. Fast movements, yelling, sarcasm, or aggressive gestures can rapidly increase tension. Remember, roadside encounters are not courtrooms. This is not the moment to win. This is the moment to avoid making things worse. Here's another realistic example. Officer: "So are you admitting this belongs to you?" Bad response: "This is ridiculous. You cops always try to set people up." Better response: "Officer, I choose to remain silent and I want a lawyer." See the difference? One creates conflict, the other protects rights. Now, another important issue. A lot of people think staying silent means acting hostile. It does not. You can still comply with lawful commands. If instructed to step out of the vehicle, many states and court decisions allow officers to order occupants out during traffic stops under certain circumstances. Refusing lawful orders physically can create additional charges or safety concerns. So the safest framework is usually comply physically, do not consent verbally, and do not explain unnecessarily. That combination protects far more people than emotional roadside debates. And here's something else many viewers misunderstand. Police are legally allowed to use deception in many investigative situations. That means officers may say they already know something. They may claim someone implicated you. They may suggest they have evidence even when they're testing your response. That's another reason emotional explanations become dangerous. People panic and start filling silence with information. Do not do that. Now, there's one more phrase that can help clarify the situation if the stop continues longer than expected. Are I free to go, or am I being detained? This question matters because it forces clarification. If you are free to leave, the encounter may end. If you are detained, you now understand the interaction is no longer voluntary. But ask calmly, not aggressively. Your tone should sound controlled, not confrontational. And remember, laws vary by state, by circumstance, and by the exact facts of the encounter. Court rulings evolve over time. This video is educational information, not personal legal advice for your specific case. But across the country, one principle stays remarkably consistent. The less unnecessary information you provide during a police investigation, the fewer opportunities exist for your words to be misunderstood, contradicted, or used against you later. So let's put the safest framework together. If an officer says, "We found something in your car," stay calm. Do not argue, do not volunteer explanations, do not physically interfere, do not try to outsmart the officer. Comply with lawful commands, but protect your rights using calm, clear language. Officer, I choose to remain silent. I do not consent to any searches. I am not resisting, but I do not consent to this search. Are I free to go, or am I being detained? I want to speak to a lawyer. Short phrases, controlled tone, no extra talking, because the biggest mistake people make during traffic stops is believing they can talk themselves out of danger. Very often, they talk themselves deeper into it. And in the next video, we're breaking down another major police encounter trap. What officers really mean when they say, "Just be honest with me and this will go easier for you."